I'm very excited about this to pick the brains of some of DCU's best and brightest young student ambassadors at postgraduate level. I am joined by Caitlin Kearns, who's studying the AMA in Social Media Communications, Uttaran Bera, who is studying the MSc in Computing with a major in Data Analytics, and Brianna Tish, who is studying the MSc in Human Resource Management. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Zoom call this evening.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Rachel.
Yeah, Brianna, let's start with you. I want to ask each of you about how you came to study in DCU because, I mean, everybody takes their own winding path to get here. Brianna, what made you, first of all, want to study in Ireland, and what made you pick DCU?
Yeah, so for me, my journey started, I finished my undergrad in 2021 and I took about a year and a half off knowing I was going to travel. So I actually backpacked. I'm from Canada, so I actually backpacked around Europe for about 4.5 months, which was a big eye-opener to the cultural differences in Europe compared to Canada. And coming back to Canada, I kind of started to evaluate getting back into the workforce and looking at taking my first job in HR since my background is in business and HR. And I fell in love with Ireland on my trip. So I knew, honestly, it was Dublin or nothing. And it was either looking at getting my first job in HR, which felt intimidating because I'd been out of school for about a year and a half, versus taking my master's, which would count as a year and a half experience in HR, while kind of dipping my toes back in the world of HR because I felt like I hadn't been doing it for so long, and also just kind of killing two birds with one stone, being able to live abroad for a year.
Pretty good reason. Dublin or nothing is good enough motivation to do anything in life, I would say. Uttaran, how about you? How did you come to decide to pick DCU after you're doing your own studies at an undergraduate level in India first?
Yeah, so I worked for 2 years as a software developer back home in India. And then my role wasn't really that much interesting to what I wanted to be in the future. So I've always wanted to be a data analyst in the sports genre, so a sports analyst. And I researched a lot about what courses were there in Europe and all, because in India, there weren't very much courses related to sports analytics. So that's why I selected Ireland because I saw the opportunities here, and especially DCU because I saw it was a very research-oriented course. The modules were very, very focused on getting us good jobs surrounding the data analyst. So that's the main reason I chose DCU.
Fantastic. I see you're a Man United fan as well. They could do a better data analytics. They'd probably be a little bit better on the pitch as well then. Caitlin, you're one of the many people who, they go to DCU at an undergraduate level and they like it so much that they stick on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey?
It was exactly like that. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else for my postgraduate. I did 4 years in DCU for my undergraduate course. And while I was there, I went in with kind of a broad scope of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't certain. But while I was there with involvement in societies and extracurricular, I found my passion kind of more so. So then when I got to final year, I was like, okay, I know where I want to go. So how do I get there? So that's why I dug into the different postgraduate options we had here. I did look around at other places in Dublin. Didn't really want to move away from home. So yeah, I found this social media communications, and that seems to be the perfect one for me and what I wanted to do.
Excellent. Clean as that. How have you found it so far, guys? I mean, everybody has a different experience of university at undergraduate and postgraduate level. I mean, how exactly would you sum up the experience? Sorry, I dropped my pen here. Would you sum up the experience in DC that you've had so far? I mean, everybody seems to have very well-rounded in terms of even extracurricular activities as well. Some I want to ask you about as well. But really, how have you individually found that, Brianna, to start us off?
Yeah, so far my time at DCU has been really great. I would definitely say compared to my past universities, it is very student friendly and like really student engaging. There's always events going on at the U building, like the main student building. So it's been really great getting involved. As for the clubs and societies, like you had mentioned, like I participating in class rep, getting involved in post-grad activities. So far I find the student engagement experience the best compared to my other universities.
Uttaran, how about you? I mean, one of the things which obviously people, when you're trying to decide, to study abroad, you have to consider what it's going to be like to adjust. How have you found that yourself?
Yeah, so the studies have been very smooth, to be fair. So every module have their labs, which give us the practical applications, and we're able to implement whatever we learn during the lectures. So from the study perspective, it's very modern, I would like to say that, and you get to practice a lot of what you will be doing when you're working. And for the co-curriculars and sports, I'm already part of DCU Soccer Club, so it's been great. And just so many events going on, as Brianna told. So really very engaging and very student-friendly atmosphere here in Dublin City University.
Love to hear that. And I can actually vouch for that as well. I think when I was in DCU and I did my postgrad, so I did a 1-year MA journalism program after studying in UCD before. And I think it's the extracurricular stuff like DCU FM and the Media and Production Society just really actually gave me such a great opportunity to mix with other like-minded people who I ended up working with long term. So can really, really vouch for just how important that is. And Caitlin, you can absolutely do that as well. I mean, you have a whole honors role really in terms of what you've done outside of classes in DCU. Could you just tell us a little bit about those things and how much of an impact that really makes on the whole DCU experience?
I remember reflecting near, I think it was just after Christmas in first year, and it was a really dark, miserable day. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I have class, I'm gonna go into class, it's fine. But I really, really want to go because I have a society thing afterwards. And that's kind of what got me through it. Like it balanced the whole work or academic side of stuff with the actual student life side of stuff. And it was great. Like I've been heavily involved in committees since first year and just been kind of a helping hand and learning as I go with different society events and committee challenges. So yeah, you learn about just as much outside of class as you do inside of class once you're heavily involved with societies and want to learn.
Excellent. Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I think it's that sort of time when you're off and you're finished class. It's actually you are getting that opportunity to almost experiment sometimes with what you're learning. So I think that's a really, really valuable part of the whole process. In terms of the atmosphere on campus, this is something that everybody always speaks about with DCU. Like a lot of other campuses in universities around the world or in Ireland, they can be quite big or quite sprawling campuses. DCU is nice and tight knit. I feel like you see the same faces every single day in terms of staff to see there. You see people who just pass by. You can say hello to in any of the buildings or any of the shops. I think that's something which is really, really nice. That sense of community. I think that must have had an impact when you were adjusting, Brianna.
Yeah, I actually found the campus quite easy to navigate. I didn't do a lot of research into the campus layout. I looked at the maps kind of the day before I arrived on campus, and coming into the Glasnevin campus, it's big and spacious, but very small. And so it's not overwhelming. People are really friendly to ask if you have questions concerning the buildings. So I found it very easy to adjust to campus life here and getting used to the campuses, Glasnevin, St. Pat's. It's been a great experience.
Otaran, in terms of if anybody else was in your shoes now and they were looking at, they might be an international student who's looking at reasons to study abroad or why they would pick DCU. What could you tell them in terms of, the professional level of qualifications that are there, the job opportunities that come out of it? Because obviously that's heavily going to be part of the concern is this going to be worth my while in terms of a career? Because it is a difficult thing to move to do a course like this. It's a great experience too. Everyone agrees about that. But really, it is a big decision. So if you were putting yourself back to before you came to DCU, what would you be telling yourself in terms of advice?
Yeah, so it's been difficult moving away from home, but I must say that I've enjoyed every bit of it. And as I said, that you get to implement whatever you learn. And I think that's very valuable when you're looking for a job, because in a job, you're going to be doing exactly that. And I think DCU prepares us for that. And there are a lot of career fairs going on. So attended 2-3 myself in the Helix. So there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of companies offering grad roles. So I don't think it's that difficult to get a job, but you have to search, look, and there's always DCU support. We are always going to them for help. So if you just know whom to ask for help, and if you are asking for help, I think that's a big deal.
Would you agree with that then, Caitlin? I see you nodding your head in terms of the supports that are there in terms of guidance to where to go. I mean, is that something which you think DCU does really well?
Yeah, and I don't believe it's biased. When I went looking for master's courses, I was chatting to Elaine, and Elaine, she was telling me about loads of different ones across Ireland. It was no like, oh no, you should go to DCU. She was trying to give me the best options, which I found very helpful. And like the highest respected courses and similar. But obviously I already knew that I didn't want to leave DCU. Another year here was achieved.
You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave DCU, really. This is why I'm still here doing these things. So, yeah, just in terms of, what the future looks like for you once you finish your postgraduate studies, Brianna, what are you hoping to take from DCU into your career going forward?
That's a great question. I haven't quite figured out what my exact future looks like, but I do know the whole purpose of me taking this was to really focus on my manager skills and my leadership skills. I really want to pursue leadership roles and really focus on organizational change. So that's why I'm really excited to use my thesis as a chance to explore that topic so that I can bring that to future jobs, as that's where my interest lies. So while I don't know yet whether I'm staying in Ireland or going back to Canada, I'm definitely looking at these grad opportunities because in Canada, we don't have those same graduate programs available. So I'm definitely weighing my options, but I do picture myself coming out of this with a good experience in my leadership skills, public speaking, managerial, just really focusing in on the topics that I'm interested in.
Awesome. Well done to you. Odoran, how about yourself in terms of where we will see you in the future in terms of sports data analytics? Where are you going with that?
So I had a technical background in software development already, but now here I've been able to upskill myself in a lot of other technologies like data science, cloud technologies and all. And even my research, that is my thesis, is based on predicting injuries in sports. So hopefully that leads me to a sports data scientist role here, looking to different opportunities and trying to figure out to apply some internships. Different clubs in Ireland provide them. So hopefully one of them is a lucky break for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. It is so interesting. I think that's something in terms of the variance in terms of the courses which are available at the postgraduate level in DCU. There is a great room for specialization in things like, as specialized as it was in terms of data analytics and sports. Caitlin, how about yourself? I mean, you have a great background across a number of different interests and fields. Where are you looking to sort of take everything that you've sort of harvested from DCU over the last number of years?
Well, what got me into this master's was my enjoyment of making graphics and similar for the Carton Society in DCU. And I want to continue that. I want to work in a media team in motorsports. Like F1's the top, but I'm gonna, get somewhere first before I get there. But I have looked at apprenticeships and there's entry-level places. There's also higher up roles, but I don't know if I want a bit more practice and experience in the different countries that I'm going to have to move to, because there's none in Ireland before making my way up. But that is the plan. So motorsports, fingers crossed.
Fantastic, brilliant. All very interesting careers, and it all seems like the enthusiasm you also can't fake that. I know you're all postgraduate ambassadors for DCU at this point, but you can't fake that enthusiasm. You do these sort of things because you genuinely believe in the benefit of the experiences that you've all had. And I'm delighted you've all had those great experiences in DCU, because it was the same for myself. I had probably quite a negative experience at an undergraduate level, and I was scratching around for a while trying to figure out what to do. And DCU was top of my list for postgraduate, and it absolutely did have a huge impact in terms of career options, the level of advice that was available on campus. So anybody who's on the stream, as each of our three fantastic ambassadors have attested to, there is all the help in the world you can get there, and there's some really great times on campus as well. So Odoran, Brianna and Caitlin, thank you so much for all of your sage wisdom